It's Sarah So-and-so, and today I'm working on a special order. A woman sent me a gorgeous quilt, and she wants me to make a long coat for her. And I'm so excited to get started on it. I have been delayed for over a week because my serger was broken, which had me all in a pout last week. No use acting nice to me when I'm stuck in a pout. I can't let your niceness in until my mad wears out. Well, I have my serger back now. And my first step always in every quilted project is that I serge around all the edges, right? But this one, because I'm making it particular to her dimensions, and she wants very deep pockets, so I cut her very deep pockets, and it will be just to the right length. But in order to get it just to the right length on this full-length coat, I wanted to take the design of the quilt into the equation, and I wanted to put this big star right in the middle of the back. Well, because I did that, I was not able to use the binding of the quilt for the hem of the coat. So I'm going to show you how I put a repurposed strip of fabric and make that into the binding for the bottom of the coat. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm removing the binding from the quilt with a seam ripper. I want to be very careful so I don't rip this material. A lot of people use seam rippers the wrong way. They use them this way, and you're more likely to rip. But if you put it in this way, we can actually run this along the seam. An alternate way to take this off is to go on one side of the fabric and, cut every once in a while like this. Turn it over. Find your string. It's here somewhere. And just pull. And you see, it comes right up like that. So you can do it however you want. Another alternative, perhaps this on your quilt, if we're working with thrifted materials, maybe this is worn and you don't want to use that. What I would do is I would cut a 2-inch strip of fabric and then just pick out the quilting, which is pretty easy if you work from the border of a quilt, or if, like this one, it's an imported quilt. And although this has been hand stitched by one of our sisters, probably in India or China, the stitches are pretty far apart. So this would be easy to pick out. And what you want, ideally, is a strip of fabric 2 inches wide. So when you're done, you have a strip that looks like this. This came right off the quilt. Ideally, I like to work with 2 inches. This strip that I cut off the quilt happened to be 1.5 inches, but that's okay. We can work with that. And here's our goal. This is the top of my pocket, and I'm going to want to put the trim on that also, is that it will wind up looking like this, like it did on the original quilt. But that's not the way we're going to install it. Instead, we're going to flip it over on the wrong side, put the wrong side against the right side of your strip. And we'll clip. Still pulling off strings here. Don't worry too much about these strings. A lot of them get caught up in the inside the seam, so no one's ever going to be the wiser. Okay, now we have it on the machine. I forgot to say, when I ironed this strip, I hit it with a little spray starch, and that just gives everything a little bit of body, and it's easier to work with. But I'm going to stitch right down this fold line right here. And I always lengthen my stitch. The thicker the fabric, the longer your stitch. So my normal setting on my Brother machine is 2.5. I'm increasing it to 3.5. And I'm just going to use my owl here to get it started. I always like to use an owl to get it started so that I don't bunch up the fabric like this, trying to get it going. Two things, it might break your needle, and second, worst case scenario, it throws off the timing of your machine, and that is a very expensive repair. So now we're going to fold this over like this and edge stitch right along the edge here. So let's fold it over. Might use a couple clips here just to keep it straight. We don't want it to twist as we're stitching, of course. All right. So when I say edge stitch, I mean we're going to go right along here with our stitching. All right. So here we go. Look at that. It looks just like the original binding on the quilt. Now, sometimes it's fun to use bias tape for this and maybe a contrasting color. It's usually impossible to match the color of the thrifted quilt that you're working on. But use the same process. Open it up, stitch on the wrong side with the right side of the tape, and then flip it over. And you can see on the wrong side, you can see where our stitching was, but that's not going to bother us. That's on the inside of this pocket. And here's the finished product. Now, my client is a couple inches shorter than I am and a little bit bigger in the bust line. So I think this will fit her well, but this is always the exciting part, is seeing if it fits. But as you can see, this is the binding that we added to the bottom. This is the binding that was on the original quilt. So it all matches.